It's been a couple days now and you can see the radicals even longer. So things are looking pretty good. Everyone, welcome back to the channel. If you're at all like me, then you've probably had the experience of your partner complaining to you that you're taking up all the space in the refrigerator with all of your seeds and all of your tree projects. That certainly happened with me. And so last year I bought a little mini fridge to sort of give myself some space to store all my seeds and do my cold stratification and what have you. But this year I've gone big with my chestnut and hickory seeds. And so I don't have nearly enough space in my little mini fridge to be able to do the cold stratification that I need to. So we have plenty of freezer space, and I thought maybe there's a way I can use the freezer space to cold stratify these chestnut and hickory seeds that I'm working with this year. It is still in its experimental phase, and so I'm not sure if this is actually going to pan out. So this is just an idea that I have, and I can't necessarily recommend that you try this. All I'm doing is just sharing my experience, and we'll see if it works later on in the spring when I get to open up the sand and see how many of the seeds have begun to germinate. So let's take a look. So the basic strategy that I'm using here is, you can see I'm just stratifying the seeds as usual. I've got layers of sand, layers of seed, but I'm doing it in a large ice chest. And basically the strategy is I'll be swapping out frozen bottles of water in and out of that ice chest. And the frozen bottles of water will be used to keep the seeds cool. This is the ice chest that I'll be using. It's not the best ice chest. It doesn't keep things cold as long as I'd like it to. But it's a good size for what I'm doing. It's not too large, not too small. All right, so my buddy Joe's going to be helping out. Say hi, Joe.
Hi, Joe.
I like your shirt.
Thank you.
Yep. So yeah, we're going to start by, I think we'll spray the inside.
Okay.
And just get the inside moist, and then we'll start pouring in sand. A little bit of moisture there. All right. So this is just play sand, nice and sterile. All right, I'm just going to pour a little layer in here. Just enough to cover the bottom. Yeah, that's pretty good. So I'm going to start with the hickories and the pecans. I got them from two different sources. These are from Burnt Ridge Nursery in Washington. And these I got from Sheffield's, which is based in Massachusetts. I'm not sure where the nuts came from, but actually it might say here. Indiana. So these came from Indiana. And yeah, we'll just start layering all the hickories in there. So all we're gonna do is just lay them all out, one next to the other. Okay, so we've put our first layer of seeds down. Now we're going to put some more sand on top, and we'll moisten that down.
This is great.
So we have more help. This is Miguel. Wave hi to Miguel.
What's up?
Thanks, guys. This was fun.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's been great.
So this is after one day. This 2 liter still has some ice in it. The almond milk bottle also has a little bit of ice left in it. Not sure on the temperature, so I'll check on that now. Okay, so here's our first temperature readings, and I don't think this is going to cut it. 46, 47. And then right underneath the bottles, Yeah, even right under the bottles, it's still 41. Yeah, this is not going to cut it. I need a whole lot more bottles. So it's been about 4 hours at this point, and it's not looking good. This is still mostly unfrozen. So it's going to take quite a while for this to solidify. And that means that the chestnuts are going to go quite a while without cold on them. And so that gets me worried. So I definitely need to have quite a few of these that I rotate so that I always have a couple in the actual ice chest. We're now 47.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Outside, let's check the temperature inside. Not much better. It's about a week in at this point, maybe a little bit less than a week. And it looks pretty good. I mean, this is basically the temperature that I would expect, like in a refrigerator. It's about 30, the high 30s, low 40s. I'd like it to be cooler, I ain't gonna lie. But I think this should cold stratify the way I'm hoping it will. Okay, so I feel kind of silly for not thinking of this earlier, but what I realized as I've let this process go on is that there's a whole bunch of latent heat inside the soil and inside the water and everything. So it's taking a while for this to cool down, and I've just been accumulating more and more bottles. So tons of almond milk bottles that my wife has been going through, and I do need to cool it down, and I'll be doing that by just continually adding more and more bottles of ice to the top to get it just as frigid as I can in here. Okay, so this is really what I'm looking for here. So here I've got a bunch of these frozen jugs in here, and that's what I'm really looking for. I want it to be at least below 40. And as I'm kind of scanning through here, I see most of the area is indeed below 40. It's just barely below 40, but as I get more and more jugs in here, I think that is going to drop, and it should get closer and closer to freezing over time. So I think that's really the name of the game, is just get as many jugs in here as I can. I don't know what day it is relative to when I started this process. I'll put that up on the screen once I figure it out. But there's some good news on the stratification front. You'll notice right here we have a little American chestnut with a radical coming out. So I'm pretty excited about that. That's just on the top, so I don't know what it's going to look like once I start digging down to see all the rest of the seeds going all the way down to the bottom. I'm hoping that this is working, and I see good signs that it's working. What I've noticed is that the bottles are not thawing out as quickly. So when I put bottles of ice in here, they tend to persist pretty much for the full 12-hour period. And I could even use them maybe even for 24 hours because they just persist for that long. And I think what happened is there's a whole bunch of latent heat in the seeds, in the water, and in the soil, in the sand that I'm using for cold stratification. And what I think I needed is to have a big, giant, massive cold impulse, basically, of like tons and tons of ice put in this to reduce the temperature of the sand and the water. And then once it got down to temperature, now it's nice and cool. And so these bottles don't really melt throughout the course of the day very much because the whole system has cooled down. So thinking back on that now, I kind of wish I had actually cooled everything down first, like put the bags of sand in the freezer, put water in the fridge, and made it all nice and cool before I stratified the seeds. And that way I didn't have so much latent heat that I needed to get out of the system. But now that that heat is out of the system, it stays nice and cool. Let's check the temperatures here. 39. Yeah, because it wasn't down at this level. It was at like 42, 43 for quite a while. Yeah, 38, 39. And my guess, it's just a guess, but my guess is that if you dug down deep into the soil that you'd see similar temperatures as to what you're seeing here, maybe even cooler. And so I'd call this pretty much as close to a success as I would hope for with this experiment that I'm running. So we'll see how it turns out in a couple of months when I start to pull all these seeds out, and we'll see if we get some radicals going.